I had just gotten a little bit, bored with the WWE formula for the time being, and I'm not one of those people that you see on the internet that feels like you have to pick one and hate the other. I think you can enjoy both, and just at the moment I'm enjoying AEW more, and so I've been watching more of that, especially with this Grand Slam Mexico show coming up, which is what I want to talk about here, because I've really been looking forward to this ever since it was announced that this is happening at Arena Mexico, the home of CMLL, and I had that video a few weeks back, and I was talking about the history of Lucha Libre, all that stuff, and I have been getting more into watching, specifically CMLL, not really AAA. Especially the last little bit I watched Worlds Collide, but Triple Mania was a little bit of a cluster, and I didn't think that was very good. But I've been watching CMLL because it's pretty accessible to watch on YouTube, and I've quickly just become a massive fan of Mystico and Templario and Mascara Dorada. I just love watching the CMLL style of wrestling. So that's what appealed to me here at this AEW card, and I definitely had to make sure I tuned in. Now, you'll have to forgive me, because I'm not as familiar with the AEW roster and current storylines and all that going on, so if I get anything wrong here, you'll have to forgive me. We'll go through. I'm just looking at the card here. This isn't necessarily the order that it all happened in. I just have a picture here of the card. Although I feel like... Okay, so yeah, we started with the... the 14-man tag match. Just to list off people who were in that 14-man tag match. We have Adam Cole, Atlantis Jr., Bandido, Brody King, Daniel Garcia, Templario, Dax Harwood, Echiaro, Josh Alexander, Kunosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Lance Archer, and Volador Jr. Now I'm a big, like I said, Templario fan, so seeing him here, just him being on the winning team here, was pretty cool. And these big tag man matches, for me, because this is something you see a bit in CMLL overall, it's not as easy for me to really follow along with big moments. I feel like there's a lot of big moments, but I feel like it's more just like wave after wave after wave of excitement and cool things happening. That's sort of I don't know, just sort of the vibe I get with these matches. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, but having that team with Bandido, Templario, and Atlantis Jr. getting absolutely just booed by the crowd anytime he was doing anything in this match. Overall, just a really, really exciting match, but there's nothing about it that I really can recall, because I did watch this yesterday, but off the top of my head, there's not a big moment in this that I can think back to and really grab onto and pull. I'm looking at cage match here. This is a 6.82 with 124 votes, but cage matches I find a little bit, I'm not always the biggest fan of what they have to say. And then we have, for me, kind of the low point of the night. That's the because I really like both these guys individually. Okada, obviously, because I was going back. I think I've talked about this. I went back to the New Japan catalog. I got that New Japan World subscription, and I was watching all the stuff with Okada's reign and Okada versus Kenny Omega. And, I haven't gone back and watched any of the AEW back catalogs. I've really only watched the last 3 or so months of shows and things like that. Whenever that Grand Slam Australia was, that AEW Grand Slam Australia, that's kind of when I started watching, and then from then, so I haven't watched any of the past stuff. But with Okada, and looking at what he was doing in New Japan, and kind of just looking at what they've done with him in AEW, it feels like I'm watching a completely different guy. And I know obviously now he's older and he probably can't go the way that he used to, but this match with him and Mark Briscoe is a guy that I really like. I like his energy. He has that sort of very chaotic energy, but this match didn't, I don't know, they just didn't really work well together. I think they didn't really have any in-ring chemistry. And the whole angle with this match was like Mark Briscoe was trying to get back at Okada for what he did to Kenny Omega during the big 4-hour Portland show. But I never really got that sense of urgency from him. And the commentary seemed to be putting in more work for that storyline than either of the two guys in the ring were. It just didn't feel like a very standard match, and yeah, not very memorable. Then you have my favorite moment of the night, Mystico against MJF. Mystico's entrance here, already a legendary entrance. Like I sort of touched on in the past not WrestleMania 40, but Elimination Chamber Birth got me into wrestling in the first place, and I was watching and really into WWE, but that's basically the only thing I was watching. But now being exposed to all these other promotions, watching Stardom, watching New Japan, watching CMLL, watching AEW, I'm exposed to so many more wrestlers, and Mystico is quickly becoming one of my favorite guys. I just love watching Mystico. And his entrance here, the entire crowd singing along. And then MJF, from what little I've seen of him, I haven't been the biggest fan of him. I understand his character's changed quite a bit over the years, because I think he's been in AEW since pretty much the beginning. I know he was champion at one point, and he had a completely different sort of gimmick for a little while. But I quite liked MJF in this match. I thought him and Mystico worked really well together. And based on how this match ended, it definitely seems like they're setting up to have them have a rematch probably pretty soon. Maybe at All In Texas. I don't know if Mystico would be up for that, but it definitely seems like these two guys need to meet up again in the ring, and maybe with Mystico bring in some sort of reinforcements to deal with the Hurt Syndicate. But these two had great in-ring chemistry. That spot up on the ramp where, he goes for the, what's it called? The La Mística. He goes for the La Mística, but then MJF turns it into a tombstone. Mystico ends up winning by disqualification, which, as a booking decision, I think was the right move. You can't have Mystico lose in Arena Mexico. But MJF, you also don't want him to lose. I think this was his first big match as a member of the Hurt Syndicate. I know he's had some smaller matches. And then, of course, you had the moment at the end where he unmasked Mystico, and we didn't see Mystico's face. He had it covered. I saw so many people making a big deal about that online, and the commentary even said, like, nobody's ever unmasked him before. I'm sorry, but that's just simply not true. I've only been watching CMLL for a few months, and I already know that Mystico gets unmasked. Not like regularly, but it does happen, and it's like obviously an easy way to get heat for a Rudo. So I thought that was quite funny that they made such a big deal of that. Even some people online were like, "Oh my god, like Mystico is like he's lost his mask. He's gonna have to like wrestle without his mask." And no, it wasn't a mask versus mask match. Like if a luchador gets unmasked, it doesn't always mean that they permanently lose the mask. But I thought this was a really exciting match. Like I said, I usually do not like what I've seen from MJF to this point. But I thought David and Mystico worked really well together, and I really hope they keep running this storyline, because they have to build up to it in the Portland show, which one of the few times I'm like, man, I wish I still lived in Portland, because like being there with Mystico, being the crowd for that show, I 100% would have been there. And I think there's very little chance that when they do the Grand Slam in Brisbane next year, which I'm going to be going to, that Mystico will come over to Australia for that. Just seems like too far of a distance. But I'd love to see him and MJF run it back, do a little bit more of this, maybe another match, at least one more match, maybe two. Then we had the 4 million pesos 4-way match with Hologram, Leo Rush, Mascara Dorada, and Ricochet. And this was really cool because I've been watching through season 1 of Lucha Underground. And I don't know if he's outside of season 1, but in season 1, you have Ricochet as Prince Puma in Lucha Underground. Then obviously he went to WWE, he's been Ricochet for a little bit, probably most well known for that match with Logan Paul. Now he's in AEW, which I know he can be a bit controversial, but I actually quite like Ricochet, and especially him as his heel character he is right now. I think it works really well for him. And what I really liked in this match was it seemed like Ricochet was kind of able to pull out some of those Prince Puma moves that maybe he doesn't always get to do on the regular basis anymore. I thought that was pretty cool to see. Leo Rush, I don't think I had seen him before. I think he's a Ring of Honor guy. No, he's an All Elite guy. Interesting. Let me see his matches. So I'm just on Cage matches. So he had CMLL World Tag Team title on the Ring of Honor show. Collision, Fighter Fest, Double or Nothing, The Buy-In, Collision, Rev Pro. Then he had a $400,000 match on Dynamite back in April. The Dynasty 0 Hour. So it's funny because I watched Dynasty and I watched Double or Nothing, but I didn't watch the pre-show, so I missed him both times. So he seems like he's mostly a Collision guy. So I think this is my first time actually seeing Leo Rush. I didn't really get him, but I'd be interested to see more of him. Mascara Dorada, I'm a big fan of. And Hologram is still sort of a weird one to me. From what I understand, Hologram is a character that Tony Khan created when he was a kid. Like he was a character that he was drawing in his notebook or something. Which is, and then he found this luchador, Aramis. I think his name was Aramis. Yeah, Aramis. And he brought him in, and I gave him this hologram gimmick, which is sort of this like cybernetic luchador thing. And he's like now like undefeated, like 26 or 27 or something like that. So I just find the whole thing a little bit weird with the hologram, but he's really good in ring. Like he's really fun and exciting to watch. And he has that I don't know what that move is, his finishing move. But you know, it's a pretty exciting looking finisher. It's just I find the whole thing a little bit weird. But Hologram wins the 4 million pesos 4-way match. I wish that Mascara Dorada would have had more to do here. I really like Mascara Dorada. He's obviously the future of CMLL. He's only like 23 years old. And I think eventually when Mystico is ready to retire and, you know, step down, as Mystico is 42 years old now, it's going to be Mascara Dorada who carries that torch moving forward, and he didn't really do too much here. But I was a really big fan of Ricochet in this match. Then you had the women's title match, and people are going to hate on this because it's Mercedes Moné. But I actually thought overall it was a good match, even though it was the shortest match of the evening. She had Zuxis, she was the CMLL World Women's Title holder. And one thing that I think a lot of people who don't watch CMLL don't realize, and I saw some comments saying like, oh, AEW like took the title off of a CMLL wrestler. Titles don't really mean that much in CMLL from what I've ascertained. Title matches are cool, but they're not as big and prestigious as they are in American promotions. Mask versus mask matches are like the creme de la creme of CMLL, and if there was a card with a title match and a mask versus mask match, the mask versus match would be the main event. Like, Mystico has been the champion for like 6 years in CMLL, and like, it's not a big deal because the belts don't mean as much. But Mercedes Moné wins the CMLL World Women's Title, meaning she is the first woman to hold a title for WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and CMLL, like the major promotions. And she has a lot of titles at the moment, doesn't she? She's the AEW DPS champion, she's the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Champion, she's the EWA Women's Champion, and she's the CMLL Women's World Champion, CW Panoptic Champion, IWE Women's Champion, IWGP Women's Champion, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. Yeah, like these are all her different ones here. So she's kind of doing her belt collector arc at the moment, and I know that she's very, like, she's one that you either love her or hate her. I quite like her in-ring work. The CEO character she's kind of doing is a little bit like, I'm not the biggest fan of it. But it's going to be interesting to see, because they're setting up her with Toni Storm, and Toni Storm's had quite a long reign, and the thing that's really interesting about this match is I can't see either woman losing that match. I can't see Mercedes losing, and I can't see Toni losing, because Toni's like perhaps the most over woman in the world. So I'm actually genuinely interested to see what they'll do with that. And then finally with the 10-man tag team match at the end with the Death Riders, Beast Mortos, Young Bucks, the Ops, sort of Strickland, Will Ospreay. This is purely an AEW match. There was no CMLL guys on this match. John Moxley gets the win off of a roll-up after a distraction. Classic Death Riders sort of ending. But then Hangman Page comes out, him because he accidentally hits either Matthew Jackson or Nicholas Jackson, I can't remember, but he hits one of the Young Bucks. And they're obviously setting up this thing where it's going to be very much like the WrestleMania 40 ending at All In, and it's going to be Jon Moxley versus Adam Hangman Page. It'll be 1v1 for a while. One of the Death Riders will run in, and then Will Ospreay will go in and stop them. A different Death Rider will come in, and then Samoa Joe will go in and stop them. And then, Shibata, Hobbs will go through the whole thing with each member of the Death Riders, and then, it'll be okay, all the Death Riders are gone. Now it's just, Mox versus Hangman Page, but I think they've set up the screwy finish here with the Young Bucks thing. I think one of the Young Bucks is going to come in and interfere. And then that's where the Swerve Strickland thing matters. Okay, because Swerve's kind of been will he or won't he help Adam Page? I think it's setting that up, and I am praying that they take that belt off Moxley. Let Hangman Adam Page have the belt. If you eventually want to give it to Darby Allin, have it be those two. Maybe have Darby come in and feud with Moxley for a bit before going for the belt, but I just hope they don't keep the belt on Moxley. Let him lose. Let him drop this Death Riders gimmick. Find a new gimmick. For the love of God. But Swerve Strickland helping Hangman Adam Page will pop me. But I'm really excited for All In. I've been super happy watching AEW for the last little while here. I just think they're killing it. And if you did not see Grand Slam Mexico, even if you aren't an AEW fan, haven't watched anything else of theirs, check it out. At least watch the Mystico versus MJF match. And if you don't want to watch more AEW, at least watch some more CMLL, because CMLL deserves the love. For my money, I honestly think it is the best promotion in the world. I've had so much fun watching it over this last little while. And definitely saying I'll continue to watch. So, anyway, guys, if you watched Grand Slam Mexico, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. But if you liked the video, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this every single